Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Cabral.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Glad to be here with you today. Excited to be going over more of our community's questions. Hopefully you tuned in yesterday, which was episode 1786. To find all the details there, you can simply head on over to stephencabral.com/1786 for all of those questions. Today, we'll be answering about another half dozen questions on all things wellness, weight loss, anti-aging, and as I always say, and everything in between. So yesterday, a lot of fun, though. Hopefully you did tune into that show. If not, obviously you can go back. You can listen to it after today's show. If you want to read along with the questions today, just head on over to stephencabral.com/1787. Hopefully you're familiar with the format of the show, been tuned in for at least a couple weeks or months or years. But what I do is every single weekend, I answer the questions that have come in from stephencabral.com/askcabral. That's where I answer the questions in the order that they've been received. And today we are picking right up on November 13th. So if you asked your question before November 13th, it's definitely been answered. And you can go back and you can tune into previous house calls if you missed your question. And then any question asked after, what will we get to today? Somewhere around November 16th or so. Yours will be coming up in a future show. All right. So first things first, let's dive right into the show. First question is from Mike. Mike is asking, Dr. Cabral, I wanted to know what causes a crack tongue and how could I treat it naturally to remove the cracks from the tongue? Is it a lack of drinking water? Well, that's a great question. So Mike, if you've been a long time listener to the show, you would have heard the first year of the Cabral Concept on episode 331. That's why I don't repeat my shows. I really don't. Like I want to create the world's largest archive of natural health podcasts. Like that's it. So we're up to 1,787 shows. But if you go back, and I'm telling you, I do believe it's worth it. If you go back, you want to get yourself a rich functional medicine, integrative health-based knowledge base. Just take your time. Go back, listen to a couple of shows a day, start to just keep absorbing more of that knowledge. And then, of course, pass that knowledge on to friends, family members, your kids, whoever it might be. But on that show, I want you to go back, go to stephencabral.com/331, and you'll check out tongue diagnosis. Okay. So again, we're not diagnosing disease. There's no treatment protocols, cures, or diseases on the show. We're talking about, or disease diagnosis. We're talking about underlying root cause imbalances. So a cracked tongue in Ayurveda can be a sign of high vata. And vata can mean anxiety, nervousness, dehydration, like any one of those things, and namely malnutrition. So typically when I see a fissure or a crack down the middle of the tongue or anywhere on the tongue, I'm oftentimes thinking vata-based disturbance, malnutrition, vitamin deficiency, possible dehydration. So that's what I would look at first. And of course, you can back these up first. You can start drinking more water, electrolytes, especially if you're a Vata body type. But then you can look at, just even adding something in like the daily foundational protocol over at eco.life, then you'd get all of your nutrients in 6 weeks. Is it gone? Like that's what I would look at, adding in that smoothie and everything every day. So great question. Thanks, Mike, for writing in. Hopefully that answered your question. If not, check out episode 331. It goes through the whole tongue diagnosis for all different things going on with the tongue. And everyone should check out that show. I think it's fun. All right. Mike's up. Could be the same Mike. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I want to know if I could use bone broth powder to seal up leaky gut. I'm allergic to glutamine. I get headaches, joint pain, and accelerated heartbeats. Okay, so Mike, some people are sensitive to glutamine. There's no doubt about it. But oftentimes, those same people that are sensitive to glutamine are not going to do well with bone broth, and especially bone broth powder. Here's why. Bone broth is going to contain glutamine, right? So that's going to be an issue. Also, you might have an issue with sulfur-based amino acids in general. And if you have an issue with sulfur-based pathway breakdowns, then bone broth is going to be loaded in sulfur. So you could have an issue with that as well. So, and here's the other thing. Bone broth is going to be higher in histamines. And if you have sulfur detox pathway issues, you might have an issue with histamines as well. So I don't think the bone broth powder is going to be the way to go. Fresh bone broth will definitely be less histamines in that because it's not aged. So you could try fresh bone broth. You could try just straight zinc carnosine. You could use aloe vera. What else can I recommend to you? There was one that I just did a show on. It's coming to me right now. Just did a show on it. Quercetin. Yes, quercetin as well. So you could try that, and that would also help with histamine. Okay, so check that out. There's a product we use called Hist Pro, and that could be very beneficial for you. So check that out. Check out the zinc carnosine as well. And I would also, I would really run, Mike, if you're able to, the Candida metabolic and vitamins test at a very minimum, just to see if there's anything going on with the gut in different pathways. All right. Thanks, Mike. Mackenzie's up next. Any info on having high levels of Arabinose? No other yeast showed high. Okay, so Mackenzie, happy to answer your question. Mackenzie is asking a question because she ran that Candida metabolic and vitamins test, also known as the organic acids test. I believe there's 72 markers in that test. The 7th marker is Arabinose. I've read this lab tens of thousands of times. Arabinose, and I teach this in IHP level 2. So, all right, Arabinose is one of the first 9 markers that looks at yeast overgrowth in the body. Sometimes people will show high in Arabinose and nothing else. Well, Arabinose is the most common because it's also the most, I always use the word prolific. It's the wrong word to use, but it also makes a little bit of sense, meaning like if you're going to show a high marker, most likely it's going to be number 7 for Arabinose. And that's because you produce the most, like yeast produces the most of it from its metabolic breakdown and its pathways. Namely from hyaluronic acid. So maybe that gave you a little tip. If you're someone that consumes a supplement with hyaluronic acid, it may raise Arabinose levels. Okay, so there's one explanation that maybe it's not yeast, maybe it's you're taking hyaluronic acid. Or maybe you're taking very high levels of vitamin C. It's possible, that's why we don't have people take high levels of vitamin C before this lab. It could raise Arabinose. Now, the other possibility is you did not exclude the apples, grapes, pears, and cranberries, right, on that list. Apples, grapes, pears, and raisins, which it says to eliminate 24 hours before, because that can raise Arabinose. And the last part is you could be taking food-based supplements made from yeast. Like a lot of people like to say, oh, my vitamin's made from food. Well, it's typically not. It's typically made from yeast, which is definitely not a food, but that can raise Arabinose as well. So it's most likely one of those factors. And if you don't have any symptoms, I don't worry too much about it if Arabinose is the only one that's elevated. Now, if you have symptoms, then I do worry about it. Okay. Hopefully that was helpful. Okay. So next up is Tobias. Dear Dr. Cabral, my name is Tobias. Sorry that I didn't mispronounce that. I think it's just because the S is missing in the beginning. It says Tobias. I'm going to put it in as Tobias. I've been following your Instagram for a while now and continue to find it really inspiring. I would be very interested in hearing your thoughts on the relevance of toxins in conventional clothing as I'm trying to figure this out for myself at the moment. On one hand, you read about toxins, including the dye itself remaining in the fabric even after many washes, and tiny amounts being able to absorb through the skin or being inhaled as dust particles. On the other hand, many people in holistic health field appear to wear mostly non-organic brands, assuming the items have been washed before first wear. Is the impact on the body so tiny as to be completely irrelevant even long term? Meaning that when only considering personal health, environment, etc. aside, it does not make any difference which clothes you wear, including underwear and socks. What about the sometimes even invisible rubbing off of denim dye even after washing? What about absorbing toxins from shoes when sweating? Your thoughts are much appreciated, Tobias. Okay, great question. I mean, really great question. I have not answered this before, and it's been a few shows. So It matters, Tobias. Everything matters. It definitely has an impact on you. There's no doubt about it. I think, and I'm in agreement with your assessment. I think that a lot of people don't really worry about their clothes because they want to wear the clothes that they want to wear, right? So they're not buying like hemp clothing that has no dyes on it because they don't want to wear just whites and browns and, you know, like variations of tan. I mean, that's really what it is. So they want some color. Now, could you use indigo? Could you use turmeric? Can you use spirulina? Could you use beets for color? Yes, you can. You no doubt about it. And I actually believe that this is going to be a new wave in natural health. So you're not hearing about it quite yet because it's just not there yet. And most major brands are definitely not using it. Okay. And the other thing is those natural pigments wash out much faster than the chemical dyes. So here's what I do. For my daughters, they wear organic cotton. They do. And they're natural-based, clothing-based brands, okay? They have wool socks. I wear wool socks. So anything that's like touching my body is definitely not having a lot of dyes and it's not washing off. The one exception is definitely denim jeans. Those are going to have more dyes. Now, the dye is typically more on the outside, not as much on the inside. And those I wash multiple times, even though they've been pre-washed. So that's a big one. And I pre-wash. In my house, even if it's organic, we pre-wash everything at least once. The other big thing is sheets. I've talked about that many times. I only use non-dyed bamboo sheets. That's what I'm a big advocate of. I talked about those on Friday Reviews. If you haven't checked those out yet, definitely check it out. So, Tobias, the best thing I can say is it matters. I think people get overwhelmed when it comes to their clothes. So it's just not their first place to look. But you bring up a very good point. And so, yeah, that's that. That's why we keep doing our detoxes, right? Because we can't be perfect, right? Nobody's perfect. So we keep doing those seasonal 7, 14, or 21-day detoxes. All right. Sarah's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. This question is regarding postpartum depression. Neither me or my family has issues with this, and this question is really out of curiosity. I've started reading Gabby Bernstein's books, which are predominantly self-help books, and I'm really enjoying them. After writing 7 self-help books, she opened about suffering severe postpartum depression, and I really admire her courage to speak about it. It's crazy to me how someone so spiritually centered can go through something like that. After doing some research, it looks like a biochemical issue more than anything, so I would love to know if you've ever come across that and what your views are. Is there usually any underlying root cause to this, or does it really vary? Thank you so much. Sarah, it's a great question, and I love that you're writing in just for curiosity and hopefully able to share the news with other people. I have not read any of Gabby Bernstein's, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing her name, Bernstein's books, but I'm not on social media a lot, but I definitely saw her account many years ago on Instagram, and I thought it was great. I think she's fantastic. Like, I don't know a lot about her, but she seems to inspire a lot of people out there and a lot of women as well. And so I think she's great. I want to tell you, I've worked with many women with postpartum depression, and there is a big biochemical part to that. So, you know, and it needs to be addressed because estrogen levels and progesterone levels don't always go back to the levels they were pre-pregnancy. And because of that, you're dealing with oftentimes very big mood swings, highs and lows during the day, brain fog, depression, as we're talking about. I mean, really things that need to be addressed, not just through psychology alone. And I love therapy and I love the field of spirituality. But remember, like, I tried to push through and I was, doing spiritual-based practices and I still wasn't getting well. I had chemical issues. I had a lack of cortisol. I had gut-based issues. So I would really encourage any woman going through postpartum depression right now to run the stress hormones, mood, and metabolism test. At the very least, I would run the big 5, but if you can only run one, I would run the stress hormones, mood, and metabolism test. Just go to equa.life. You will get a consultation with it. They will explain your results. You'll be able to look at your estrogen and progesterone levels, and you'll know what's going on with your thyroid, your estrogen, your progesterone, your estrogen-progesterone ratio, testosterone, DHEA, cortisol, and so much more. Again, I can't recommend it enough because we want to help women, especially with postpartum, because obviously they need it, they deserve it, it affects them, it affects their family, it affects their children. Okay, so thank you, Sarah, for writing in. And of course, I'm sure Gabby has a lot of people to reach out to, and hopefully she's doing well now, no doubt about it. But of course, I'm here, and our team is here for anybody that needs the help. So always feel free to pass it along. Rochelle's up next. Hi, I have a friend who takes golden seal tincture from a local ginseng farm proactively to help her immune system. She swears it's also helped her menstrual cycles. Can you discuss the benefits of golden seal and tell me more about it? And this is coming in from Rochelle. I'm going to type this into my podcast page because I'm pretty sure I've spoken about golden seal at stevencabral.com/podcast. Let's try to type it in. I won't go too quickly here. I am not finding it on my podcast. All right. Well, let me talk about golden seal. So golden seal is something that it's used very much so in traditional Chinese medicine. It's used in Native American-based medicine as well. So it's something that I'm very familiar with. Now, people use it for different reasons. Many people inside of the digestive health field use it for digestive issues such as indigestion, ulcers, Candida-based issues as well, although it wouldn't be my first choice for Candida. However, they're oftentimes using it as well for skin-based issues, and they're using it for eczema, ringworm, and other skin issues as well. Dandruff has been another one. Acne is another one, and I'll tell you why. One of the main reasons why people use golden seal is that it's considered a blood cleanser. So when you look at it, and traditionally why it's been used is to cleanse the blood. Now, let's go back. Let's forget about the Candida. Let's forget about the digestive issues for a moment. One of the main reasons people are using it as well is for skin issues. Eczema, right? Ringworm, okay. Dandruff, yep. Acne. What are those? Oftentimes we are looking at impure blood. Food sensitivities, yes, Candida potentially with the ringworm, the dandruff as well, potentially from Candida, dry scalp, acne from bacteria, other issues inside the blood. Well, golden seal has been used as basically a natural antibacterial, a blood cleanser. So that is why a lot of people use golden seal and do like it. I don't use it a lot in my practice, almost never. I really don't use it that much. I'm always looking for the underlying root cause. And so although it would absolutely be okay to use it in the short term as one of those blood cleansers, I'm always looking at the underlying root cause. And so that's why I'm working on the gut imbalance and whatever might be going on with intestinal permeability. So hopefully that was helpful. It's a good question. I guess I haven't talked about golden seal, and now I have. All right, let's see if we can get in one more question for the day. Samantha says, I have become a recent fan of your work and love everything that I am learning. You are a wealth of knowledge. Thank you, Samantha. I appreciate that. My question is, after the end of my day, my legs are swollen to where I can see a pretty big indentation from my socks and pants, especially noticeable toward the ankle. There are times in which my legs seem achy due to swollenness, maybe. Do you have any recommendations for me? Thank you so much for your knowledge, and I look forward to hearing from you. All right. So whenever I hear about swelling in the ankles, I'm looking at congestive heart failure. I'm assuming you don't have that, Samantha. I'm looking at higher blood pressure. I'm looking at poor lymphatic system and drainage. So I'm looking at kidney issues as well. So that's what I look at. Now, there's a couple things. Like sometimes it's just maybe someone's socks are too tight. Like I know that sounds kind of ridiculous, but literally maybe their socks are too tight. That can be one thing. Probably not with you because you see the swelling coming to the ankle, and it's probably not your shoes, right? I was saying more like when you can see the lines from your socks, that can be one thing. Okay, so now we're looking at the lymphatic system. That can definitely have to do with the kidneys. That can lead to other issues. So what I would say first is this. Just make sure you get a clean bill of health from your doctor. Run that annual blood work. We spoke about that a little bit earlier in the show, or maybe that was even yesterday. I can't even remember the first show from earlier in the day. So get a clean bill of health. No congestive heart failure, no heart-based issues, no high blood pressure. You can take your blood pressure right at home if you want as well. Okay, so let's look at that. All right, next up, we want to look at your sodium to potassium balance and your sodium to magnesium balance. After you get a clean bill of health, I would run the big five if possible. You want to make sure omega-6s aren't too high, but if you can't run the big five, run the starter kit. The starter kit's going to give you all your vitamin levels. It's going to give you all of your heavy metals. It's going to give you all your minerals, all that good stuff. So definitely do that. Make sure that you're taking in the right amount, right? Because if, let's say you're low on magnesium, we would definitely increase your magnesium. And also, if you are not exercising or getting your 10,000 steps per day, that's going to help move that lymphatic system as well. So that's a good place to start. Samantha, hopefully that is helpful. And of course, happy to do follow-ups as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into today's show. I really appreciate all of your downloads, all of your reviews on iTunes and Spotify and all the other podcast players. Really do appreciate it. It means the world to me. So thank you so much. And I'll talk with you tomorrow on our Mindset and Motivation Monday. Take care. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.